Begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll call the meeting to order. The Opens Meeting Act is posted on the rear wall next to the agendas. We'll begin with roll call. I just want to remind everyone at the beginning, if you're on a cell phone, if you would mute, that'll take care of some of the echo that we got going on. And put your phone on mute. We're going to give you the ability to go off of mute if you wish to call in or talk. So first of all, *9 on your cell phone or smartphone allows you to raise your hand. That puts you in the queue for conversation. And *6 gives you the opportunity to mute and to unmute yourself. So if you all push *6, that'll unmute yourself or mute yourself, and that way the echo should go away as we move forward. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started, and we'll begin with roll call. Tyler?
Thank you, Mayor. So, of note, when you do roll call, if you hold down on the space bar of your device, you will be able to speak and unspeak and mute and unmute yourself quickly. So as I do roll, please practice that. Councilmember McLean?
I'm here.
Councilmember Ellis?
Here.
Councilmember Coons? Councilmember Bechtel?
I'm here, but I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you, Councilmember. I recorded you as
Right
present.
here?
Yes.
Here.
Councilmember
I'm
McLean?
trying, I don't, it's not working.
Tyler, why don't you mute all of it?
Here?
Councilmember McLean, I have you listed as here.
I am.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know how to, I'm here.
Councilmember Bechtel?
I'm
Councilmember Yerger?
Present.
Councilmember Jensen?
Present.
Councilmember Jacobus?
Present.
Councilmember Legband? Councilmember Legband, if you hold your space bar and say present.
Here.
Thank you. We have 7 council members present, Mayor. I'm going to ask for Coons again to see if he joined the meeting. Councilmember Coons, are you there?
You would need to push *6 to mute and unmute yourself. You might ask one more time. For now, you got him, or what are you going to do?
I don't have my space bar pushed, so mine is muted right now. Do you have Councilmember Coons?
I texted you on.
I'm showing up online, but it's
Share that.
not on video, but
But it says it's got no audio, it just can't be muted, so that's what, there's no audio there. He's not able to talk.
He raised his hand, though, could he?
Okay, let's keep moving. So we have 6, correct?
We
7?
have 7.
Okay. So the next item is item 3, which is test Zoom telecommunication software.
So you're speaking into this, you need to also test your space bar so you can hear.
I'm unmuted,
Okay.
so I'm kind of just speaking to everybody at the moment. So at this point, the whole goal of this was to, number one, bring council together as we move forward. In the grand scheme of things, this virus is more than likely going to get worse. Currently, we have no confirmed cases in Fremont or Dodge County, but we certainly have 5 between Saunders and Washington County now. So we certainly, those cases are growing, so.
Their stuff, and I don't know how to make that full.
And we have conversation. So with that, we wanted to make sure that if we were gonna do the meeting, utilizing Zoom, and utilizing the space and live streaming, that everybody had an opportunity to try it, and whether we were in the council chambers or whether we were at home. So at this point, we have a few of you at home, we have a few of you in the council chambers, and we'll figure out next steps as we move forward. So with that, I'm gonna move to item number 5. Consider temporary suspension of the public comment period during the COVID-19 pandemic. Again, this was an item that Councilmember Jacobus and I discussed early in the week. And if we were going to be working on we got a heck of an echo. If we're gonna be working through this process, it's gonna be difficult enough, so we thought council should have the ability to weigh in whether we should suspend public comment period during the COVID-19 pandemic, or at least for the next 3 to 4 meetings, which could be 2 to 3 months. So Councilmember Jacobus, do you have anything to add to that? So you can unmute yourself and talk
By hitting the space bar
by hitting the space bar
and holding
and
it.
holding it.
I do have a little bit of, I have no problem taking action tonight on this, but I'm concerned I did speak with a legal out of Omaha, right before I came down to the meeting, it kind of made me give pause. Legal stated in Omaha, cancel March meeting, first to April. There are the mindset of their attorneys that are seeking opinion with the Attorney General, because their mindset that legislatively, we do not have to satisfy my concerns. We have legal on tonight in order to allow for us to take any kind of action. That cannot be undone, say that's some issues. In other words, part of their concern is canceling their meeting March 1st to April. Had to, and they take any action that they would take and challenge. And they have to reverse their decision, then just take it. So I'm hopeful that right now we have legal on, and if we could have consideration in that opinion also the city of Fremont. Because I'm concerned now that when we receive the March 31st meeting, we do the same form, and we only have this as far as council, can we challenge, can we take it to task, and do we know that the public
okay, Councilmember Jacobus?
Yep.
Yes, sir, I can.
All right. We did take a look at that, and I'm sure everyone's aware of the governor, Pete Ricketts's executive order that basically says, under these conditions, the Open Meetings Act requirements in uncertain terms would be waived. Now, of course, this is a pandemic, so it's not like this is a situation that comes about regularly, and I think it is smart to take precautions necessary to keep everyone safe. Can I tell you, it's impossible to challenge this thing? Of course not. People can try to challenge whatever they want, but I find it very unlikely that any challenge to this type of proceeding would be
Tell them this is a good format to use. As long as the public has full access, and we have given very explicit instructions on how to access it, whether it's phone call or by listening. And then other questions come up, how are we recording this? How are we recording any commentary or program that's typed in? Do they have the ability to type something so that as this unfolds, this is a new process for them. And the other aspect, City Council of Omaha has dismissed their last meetings in March. Mid-March, they made that decision, and they're not holding the first 2 meetings in April. Their charter itself states that they have to physically meet twice a month. So as soon as they're going to meet, they're in April. That said, is there anything wrong with us giving the written prior to March 31st? I would hate to have us conduct a meeting and can be taken to task and challenged. We're going to have some long issues of concern to address. And again, that's important with this format. I think the format, as long as public access is there, and somehow ensure easy access, regardless of someone's computer savvy or not. And can listen to it, perhaps on the radio. And that's that way that they call in. So it's important that we can at least get there. So my concern is public access, and that can legislative law be set aside by the governor, period. And that's what I think that the question is, can you get big on in the written prior to our March 31st meeting?
absolutely, we can do that. And I really think, so we don't have to deal with the same types of charter that Omaha has, but I can tell you, under the Fremont City Code, it says that city council regular meetings shall be held, and the term is held, and that would be the main sticking point. But I think under these circumstances, and the way the current format is going, we'd be absolutely okay, and any challenge to that wouldn't go very far. But we'll certainly get that written opinion out to council by the end of this week, for sure.
Tom, you may want to explain the process of the public can weigh in, and it's being recorded. Sure.
So, the meeting is being recorded in a number of ways. I am recording it on a recorder that's sitting next to my computer here. This software has the ability to record the Zoom software.
Talking to your microphone or something, dummy.
So, can everybody hear me okay? I'll try to speak louder into the computer. So, I am recording the meeting with my recording device that's sitting next to my computer. It's being recorded in the room by YouTube, and it will be posted. And the software that we're using, Zoom software, is also recording the meeting. So we have three types of recordings currently occurring.
Public access.
The public has an opportunity to participate in the conversation. If you, at a point when the mayor calls for public comment on any item, you would push star 9 on your device or raise your hand on the computer. You can press star 6 to mute or unmute yourself. If you're using your computer at home, you can also press down on the space bar and release the space bar to be able to speak.
I just want to add in this entire process and just for the general public, I want to go over the media release and go over the actual executive order of the governor. This was in Lincoln, and basically
How you doing, Ken? You couldn't hear fitting half the time.
today, Governor Pete Ricketts issued an executive order to permit state and local governmental boards, commissions, and other public bodies to meet by video conference, teleconference, or other electronic means through May 31st, 2020. So it would go through May 31st of 2020 for sure. The governor's order stipulated that all such virtual meetings must be available to members of the public, including media, to give citizens the opportunity to participate as well as to be duly informed of the meetings and proceedings. The governor's order did not waive the advance public notice and the agenda requirements for public meetings, which this meeting was noticed correctly. The governor's executive order comes a day after the White House coronavirus task force issued guidance limiting social gatherings to 10 people or less through March 31st, 2020. The executive order is part of an overall public health strategy to increase social distancing to stem the spread of the coronavirus disease. Basically, the actual order itself reads, whereas in order to provide flexibility to assist in meeting the emergency conditions and subsequent impacts brought on from COVID-19, a state of emergency was declared in Nebraska on March 13th, 2020, which gives the governor powers to do things that typically he wouldn't have the power to do. Whereas the state of Nebraska is committed to providing seamless government operations to the people of Nebraska throughout the state of emergency, and whereas state and local governmental boards, commissions, and other public bodies must comply with the Opens Meeting Act so that citizens may exercise their democratic privilege of participating in meeting of public bodies, and whereas for public health purposes, meetings and gatherings have now been limited to no more than 50 people and may be further limited in the presence of COVID-19 warrants. Now therefore, I, Pete Ricketts, Governor of the state of Nebraska, virtue of the authority vested in me by the Constitution and the laws of Nebraska, hereby issue this limited waiver of certain requirement of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act. Pursuant to this declaration, I hereby order the following. The executive order applies to all governing bodies as defined in Nebraska State Statute, Revised Statute 84-1409-1, and to all public meetings as defined in Nebraska Revised Statute 84-1409-2. 2, all governing bodies may meet by video conference or by telephone conferencing or by conferencing by other electronic communication, so long as there is made available at such meeting access to members of the public and to members of the media. And 3, the advance publicized notice and the agenda requirements for meetings that are set forth in Nebraska Revised Statute 84-1411 and the remaining provisions of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act shall continue to be complied with by all governing bodies and are not waived by the executive order. And 4, this waiver shall apply to all public governing body meetings that occur from today through May 31st, 2020. He signed it on the 17th day of March 2020. At this time, Is there any comments from the public? And I know we have a hand up, would be Jennifer Dam, that I can see.
Well, you couldn't hear what he said over there. He was telling people how to do it. Push star something.
Would you like me to go through that again, or if you want to do that later?
Okay, so,
I'm having an issue with my mic.
Jennifer Dan's talking now. I can't hear her.
I haven't said anything yet. Can you hear me now?
go ahead, Jennifer.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
You can't hear me? I'll type in the chat.
Jennifer, we can hear you fine.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to say, I know that we have a member of the public who will be attending our meeting on the 31st via Zoom. She's deaf, and I have arranged for an interpreter to be available through the Zoom meeting. It's something that the company that I'm working with does on a regular basis. We'll be testing it with this member of the public on Thursday to make sure that it works adequately. So I just wanted to reassure everybody that we are reaching out to try to make sure that any member of the public who wants to have access is able to have access through Zoom.
Thank you.
I don't want to have full screen and as I said, try to make it do it. I got a little tiny screen here.
So,
That's on full screen.
for everyone that is in the public,
Please.
if everyone that's in the public, if you have a phone only, you can push *9, and that will allow you to raise your hand for comment on your phone, and we'll be able to pick that up. If it's just a phone number, when you come on, you do have to identify yourself. And then you have to push *6 to unmute yourself, and then *6 to mute yourself back. So the
Mayor's speaking. I don't hear him. I don't hear anybody.
So number 6 to mute and *6 to unmute on your phone, and number 9 to raise your hand.
Mouth is moving, but I don't hear any words. Tyler, when I
I can recognize the voice. It's Gene.
We hear Gene.
But you may want to say something. Yeah, he can't hear you.
He was muted by you though. So now he should be able to talk. Is there any other public comment? So
Would you like to hear from Mr. Schultz to try to get his audio going?
that's fine.
see on full screen, it's on unmute. Apparently, it's on unmute. So, Tom, like that, they need to guide people. Mayor, everybody's here.
Mike,
Steve, we can all hear you.
we can hear you, Mike.
The mayor's microphone is muted.
It is at the moment, yes, it is. I muted it purposely. Yeah, the mayor's was muted and I muted it myself.
We're not getting any sound from our computers. It's hard to hear us.
So I'm gonna go ahead and mute everyone, and then you choose mayor who speaks next, and then
Okay.
we'll unmute that person.
So how will we hear him?
I am going to mute everyone, and then the mayor will select who gets to speak next, and then that person will speak.
Don Simon, unmute, please.
Okay, so
Hear from.
we've muted everybody, and at this point in time, I would like to hear if there's anybody from the public that would like to speak, they can raise their hand. To do that on your smartphone, it would be *9 is what you push. And then you would push *6 to mute yourself or *6 to unmute yourself. Is there any public comment in regards to this item?
What do I press if I have a laptop?
Press the space bar.
You press the space bar if you have a laptop. And hold it while you're talking.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, this is Gene Schultz. I guess you're wondering about the open meetings law. My thought was, at your beginning, I thought you said there were no virus cases in Fremont. So I'm wondering if that has some bearing on when we should cancel the open meetings law. Thank you.
So Gene, you're saying we should wait until we have cases before we do something about it? That makes no sense.
Well, I'm just saying that in some parts of the country,
Okay, we got it.
like New York, they've got thousands of cases in New York City.
That's where we will be too if we keep coming together.
Well, we're not coming together. When you say open meetings law, does that mean online too, or just all in person?
Okay. The same laws apply from council. We cannot, this is public comment, it's time for public comment at this time. So council cannot answer questions. Council cannot have dialogue with the public. So just wanted to share that. Gene, you still have the floor.
You're muted again.
Gene, you still have the floor. I muted it because I wanted to be mute for you.
Okay, well, my comment would be, if the opens meeting law includes online, like we're doing now, and I understand you said you had people there live, but if the open meeting law, includes, the online ones, well, I don't know if you wanna suspend that. That would be my comment.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
I do not see any other hands raised.
Is there any comment from the council?
Sorry about that.
So you would want to create your plan.
actually take the opportunity to speak tonight, just to test the apparatus at least. Doesn't matter necessarily what they have to say or comment, but that we test their ability to use the technology, because if we're gonna rely on the technology as being our mode of allowing the public to speak, then tonight's test needs to ensure that the public actually has an opportunity to speak, or we're failing to do our task, which is, I think, pretty important tonight, is to make sure the public can participate remotely. So those are my two comments.
We have a phone call, 402 719 9992. State your name and go ahead. You would have to push *6 to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you kindly. I appreciate it. I would just like to thank you for putting this together in such short notice. I did have a question, and I don't know if you can answer it or not. On the second page, I believe, of the agenda, which is not showing on the screen, it might be the third page. There are additional, right there, the additional rules, if you can move that. Thank you kindly. 9, 10, 11, 12. There are additional rules. Are those new rules, or are those rules that are always with the public comment period? Please and thank you.
She didn't identify herself.
Can you identify yourself, please, for the record?
Yes, I apologize. This is Robin White.
Thank you. And you would push *9 to take your hand off.
I apologize.
No apology needed. You're fine. And *6 to mute. Councilman Ellis.
I'd have to reiterate, it was hard for me to hear. I've got hard hearing, and so it was really difficult for me to hear here. But I think I heard right from Councilman Jacobus that
Looks like he's muted.
there's some hesitation here that I think we need. Am I okay?
No, you're muted.
Oh, unmute me.
any other comment? Councilman Yeager.
I'll come back to my earlier comment and ask, do we have any kind of procedure that we anticipate doing any kind of polling of the public as a way of evaluating the public's take on how this process works? Given this trial period, one trial period, before we move this into what I would call production mode with a city council agenda that would be significantly packed with items. It would seem to me that if we don't have the public's confidence here or participation, then we have some concerns as to whether or not we're truly fulfilling the intent and obligation of the Open Meetings Act, and that would be of concern. So for at least those folks that are on tonight's call, which are limited, 50 you said, right? It would be good if we had some sense from the public as to how they felt this particular Zoom meeting went for their participation, and whether they felt their participation was effectively considered or not in the technology that we're trying out tonight. How do we go about getting their input so we can evaluate the effectiveness of this process?
So you may want to track the Open Meeting Act and what exactly about law. What's that?
Can't hear Brian.
So could we have legal weigh in? I mean, in this process, we're actually now, there's a couple things. Number one, we don't have a big item here because we actually just have these two items that we're, and the first one is the one we're working on, which is whether we're gonna have public comment period or not. The real issue is we're not only utilizing Zoom, we're also on YouTube streaming. And presently, we can have up to 50 members in the building, which right now we have 5 at the front table, and we have about 4 more here, so we have 9 in the building at the time, 10 at the most. And so there will be able to be at this point in time, there will be able to be people in the council chambers as well. But what I'd like legal to weigh in on is there anything more that we have to do to confirm the usage? I mean, we've now asked a couple times, Councilman Yeager has a couple times for comment from the public in regards to this process. And so I want to hear from the attorney first, and then if there's anybody else that wants to weigh in, council or public.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. It's clear that this type of format would not violate the Open Meetings Act up until at least May 31st, or I can't remember the date in the executive order, it might have been May 21st.
31st.
As far as getting public comment, of course, that's up to the council, however they want to take it, but I would caution during the public comment period, we got to remember that the council doesn't interact when that's going on. So, members of the public would like to speak as to the format. I'm sure that'd be warranted and appreciated by the council, but as far as facing any legal scrutiny about this format, we're absolutely okay. And again, I'll provide city council with a written review of that before the end of the week.
Councilmember McLean.
All right, I'm gonna give this a go. Hopefully you can hear me. This is super strange from where I'm sitting in a quiet office in my house. I have an open mind about all of this technology, but I will say from my end being here, it has been somewhat distracting to try to just, some people it's really hard to hear. There's a lot of like reverberation and noise. I do think, having done this test now, that I would like to see us keep our agendas to more of a minimal, I think it's not a perfect system
Councilmember Jensen.
I just wanted to make sure, that we were clear when we're talking about suspending the public comment period. As I understand, please correct me if I'm wrong, we're only talking about the public comment period that happens at the last meeting of each month. That 30 minutes. We're not talking about people not being able to comment on item by item.
That's correct.
Can you hear me? Scott, this is Al Sawtell.
Okay, Al.
Okay, I just commented on the process, sitting here at home, this is the first time I've used Zoom. I've kind of figured out the controls, and all the screenshots, I can see everybody by moving it left or right, it's on top of my screen, you can see the agenda. So far, the only issue, commented, is reverberation of people's voices. Sometimes it works perfectly, sometimes you get that little hollow sound or like you're in a tunnel. But other than that, once you play with it a little bit and figure out the controls, I think it's functional. And of course, the comment of the public is only going to be when it's allowed. So if they can manage the mute and unmute, I think it's a workable process.
Thank you. Councilmember Yuri.
Just to add to my earlier comments, I guess one of the ways that we can test, we were trying to test this completely tonight is, since you have visual of everyone that's online on the phone, if we had actually run the list and just asked those 50 people that are on the call to speak and give a reaction to what they're hearing tonight, then at least we'll know from those 50 participants tonight whether this was something that worked for them or didn't work for them, and we'll have that on the record.
At this point, if we're gonna do anything like that, we need to back off of item number 5. We need to go back up to number 3. Which would be, if we don't have number 4, it's serious. But, at the end of the day, and I'm okay with that. We can back up to number 3, and just go through the list. If you want to talk, you can. And just say yay, nay, and it'll take a few minutes to get through, but we'll get through it. And it's the test for Zoom telecommunications software. And then we'll move back to number 5, which we've already had comment in regards to that. So we'll move back to that item number 5. So currently, I'm just going in order. I have Jody Sanders is there right now in her hand, so we'll take you first.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to note, people can raise their hands if they're online. At the bottom of my screen, I've got an area that says participants, and there's 50. If you click on that, there's a button to use to say lower or to raise your hand or lower your hand. Otherwise, it's microphone management, having everybody else muted to avoid the feedback. Otherwise, I think it's working fine.
Next is Todd Hansen.
It's a little clunky, but I think it's going to work in the long run. I think the most important thing is the health and safety of the members of our community. At the end of the day, that's the most important thing.
Thank you. Next is Abby Henriksen.
I use this daily, and you guys have a lot of reverberation. So
I think in a situation of when you have multiple, even more people than 50, you're probably going to have a lot of problems with people muting. That's my thoughts on this. Also, I don't even live close and I'm actually able to be on this call, which is kind of incredible.
Thank you. Brian Newton?
No, I don't have a mic there.
Okay. Councilmember Ellis, we've already talked. Councilmember Jacobus, Councilmember Legman. One more time.
Yes, it's good for me in Burton.
I think you just lost
It works for me.
Councilmember Jensen, Council, let's go to, Jessica Hagan.
Trying to get this working, I think I would need a little more time to try to get this figured out, I think. But there is a lot of feedback I understand when I'm trying to listen to this as well.
Thank you. The muting is definitely critical, there's no question. Everybody else should be muted while one person is talking. That's the difficult thing to get accomplished. Councilmember Beckdahl. Councilmember Beckdahl.
Oh, on the raised hand thing over here, so this people's wrong. It needs a tutorial. Oh, sure.
All right, Steve.
Steve Ray, 1445 North Irving. And
You just got your hand up. So I don't know what you did, but you got your hand up.
yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to say there's a lot of noise when you're talking. You can't understand you part of the time. And when Tyler was talking in the beginning, and you couldn't hear him at all. So something needs to be done, because when people are talking into the microphones, there's too much back reverberation noise, and you can't understand you part of the time.
We'll continue to work on that. Thank you. Dave Donegan. David Bard.
Everything is good.
Denise. Is there a hand up? I don't hear it. Go ahead, Jennifer. I don't know if Tyler. Go ahead, Jennifer. I don't see her up here, so where before when she wanted to talk, she was there, and
I don't see her either.
there she is, but her mic's not up.
I'm here now.
Here she is.
I apologize. Apparently when you take a phone call, it disconnects your Zoom.
Okay, so Travis, why don't you just give Jennifer an overview of what the real question is?
Yeah, Jennifer, seems like there's a proposal to amend this plan to make it retroactive to March 7th. And the question posed is, A, what would that, how would that affect any hypothetical situation in which personnel was placed in a situation and their situation may be amended? Obviously, it would be a case-by-case basis for me to look at to see if there's been any contractual rights that have been violated, or if there's any type of contractual remedies that would be afforded other than what this plan provides. But as far as from your position, if we did make this plan retroactive, would that plan be able to be effectuated, or would that just be impossible?
If we did make it retroactive,
Yes.
I don't know as if I can answer that, because we don't know. I don't know the situation of every single employee out there. Based on the discussion that I had heard before I got disconnected, I would probably, I've sat in, I don't know how many webinars over the last few weeks about the virus and about an employer's response. I would probably caution us to take any sort of I guess I would caution us to take any sort of potential liability or responsibility for anyone that may or may not have contracted the virus. A lot of the webinars I've been listening to, they're saying that in Nebraska, the majority of employees are not going to be eligible for workers' compensation benefits because if they do contract the virus. If we pay them just because someone may or may not test positive. That could be a potential issue, maybe muddy the waters. The other issue is we're getting so few tests done. It's just a fluid situation. I can't say that that's necessarily the right situation or the wrong proposal. It's just hard to know because we really don't know how many employees would be affected at that point. We could be dealing with no one. We could be dealing with one or two. We could open Pandora's box. You just don't know at this point what that would look like. But I think one thing that we've discovered so far is that we need to be pretty specific.
Do we have anybody the doctor is ordered to be quarantined? The employee?
I have gotten, I've spoken to some employees that have said it, but we've gotten no documentation from anybody that says that the doctor has ordered them to be quarantined at this point. So I can't confirm or deny that at this point.
Jennifer, I don't want to cut you off, but I'd just like to say if there were any plan that was proposed that would want to be retroactive, I'd want to take a look at it first before I can give it my sign of approval. So
I think that would be a good idea. I would recommend that as well.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
We're back to Councilmember Yerger.
Back to question with regards to level 1 and level 2 and some discussion that was going on about this was for hourly employees, doesn't cover full-time or salaried employees, et cetera. So looking at the discussion on level 1, it says employees that are directed to self-quarantine by a physician or public health official. Something that I remember seeing, I think, in the paper relative to Omaha had something that was quite similar to this originally. And then my recall is they changed that. And they essentially went to 80 hours of I forget exactly how they called it, 80 hours of paid administrative leave to cover people that would, in essence, be subject to a 2-week quarantine. And we haven't opted to do that, and I'm kind of curious as to why not, and wouldn't that be an effective plan for both in that same paragraph when we say employees? Couldn't that then, if we were doing something like that, cover both hourly and salaried employees if they were in fact ordered to be in quarantine? And we certainly would want them there. Wasn't the change that Omaha made actually something that we might wanted to have considered if we're looking at public health?
Jennifer, do you want to talk about that?
Yes. I'm not 100% familiar with the Omaha one. I don't think that one is retroactive. We would want to be careful if we want to look at doing that at this point, because I believe it's April 2nd or April 3rd, there is the Families First Corona Response Act that's coming through that also gives employees an additional 80 hours of leave to cover a variety of issues. Again, we're potentially increasing the liability to the city, but that is coming through, and that will be in effect in a couple of weeks. We don't know what's behind us. We don't know what's in front of us. I can't tell you what any repercussions may be at this point if we decide to implement something retroactively.
Let's go to Councilmember Jacobus.
I would still be interested in doing retroactive March 7th with legal review. And I would do it for anybody who was urged to use caution. I'm not giving it.
No, I can hear you.
Okay, so the host would like me to unmute my mic. Can you hear me, Travis?
No, I think your microphone's on or off, unmuted. There you go.
Okay, I'll try to start off again. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sounds like a bad commercial. I'm still supportive of having retroactive to March 7th Anybody who has been referred to self-isolate, self-quarantine, or had medical direction to do so, whether by the ER, their own physician or other, they do need to have documentation that they would be allowed to have full pay continue.
I think,
Because there was a period where we suddenly decided to close the library and we skipped to stage 2.
if,
I'm not chewing the bone on who was notified or not. I think it was a wise move, and it was something we had decided early on that we were going to follow the lead of Three Rivers. So I thought it was a good move by the city, Brian and the mayor, to make that decision. So I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying I would like to see this body consider amending so that those employees, hourly or salary, that got caught up on this early on can continue to grab that same paycheck moving forward as well as back. So I don't know how all this wraps up into pay and Jody's job as far as making sure everybody still gets their paycheck. We had that light discussion 2 weeks ago, just over a week ago, about continuance of pay, et cetera, prior to the document being shared. And I'm not taking issue with this document as much as making sure we've covered everybody and we value all of our employees and keep their paycheck coming. Taking away a paycheck and making people go without pay, I don't think is right. And I want to make sure that we're taking care of our very valued city employees.
Remember, they can always take vacation or sick leave, and if they're out of vacation or sick leave, there's usually a reason for that.
and Councilmember Jacobus, we certainly could look at that, but I think if you wanted, I'd want to look at the plan specifically before I give it my up or down. But I think this plan tonight, I wouldn't say we should make it retroactive at this point, but I'd be happy to work with you and try to come up with something if we possibly could going forward.
Councilmember Legman.
Yes, I think we beat this up pretty good. I think it's good as written for now. Let legal look at those other questions that Ms. Jacobus had and Mr. Yerger had. But for right now, I think it's good as written, and I trust our staff, and I think we need to move forward.
Councilmember McLean.
Well, I was just, I guess, going to weigh in that it sounds to me like I'm hearing our HR director and our legal counsel say that they would like to take another look at this before we would just amend it on the fly tonight. So I guess I'm be leaning towards maybe what Councilmember Legban just said, where we approve it and amend it later, or maybe we just, is this critical to be approved tonight since we're in level 2 and there's really only one point there? Is this going to be so mission critical that we couldn't do this investigation and have it more complete to approve on the 31st? I'm just asking because it seems like we're kind of in a circular discussion here at this point.
I would, based off of what I've conversations with the health department, based off the fact that we now have a confirmed case in Saunders County that was community spread, and we have 4 cases in Washington County. I am a little worried that within the next 24, if not 48 hours, we could have a stricter guidance for ESU 2, which is how the governor sets guidance up to prevent the spread. I could be wrong, but I'm just I know that Three Rivers Health will be pushing for that, but we're a whole week out, and if we have to go to level 3, then we would want to have a plan in place of how we're going to pay our employees. So I think that's what council needs to be thinking about. I think it is critical. That's why we actually put it on tonight's agenda, because I wasn't sure we could make it to the 31st.
Employees need to know too, they need to have confidence.
It would add confidence for the employees as well. So, Councilmember Yerger, your hand's up again.
Yes, a couple of thoughts. One of the things that I also noticed in review of the Omaha decision, and I guess this isn't in the form of a ordinance or a resolution or anything. I guess it's a policy, if anything, but theirs may have been more formalized, but theirs had dates certain for revisitation. That is, theirs was expired in July, sometime in July, either the first or the end, and would need to be revisited if extended. And I'm wondering if legal thinks that we need to have some sort of boundary or revisitation as a part of this appropriately in the language. It would seem like maybe that's a good thing to have. And the other thing that I thought.
Can I answer real quick? So as long as we're in either level 3 or level 4, this would be into effect. Once we're out of those levels, it would no longer be in effect. So.
But it doesn't say that anywhere.
Right. Again, it's only with the COVID-19. So
that was our understanding as well.
Yeah. And the other thing that I would.
It only applies level 3 and 4. It's very clear. Level 3 and 4, this plan is in effect. Level 1 and 2, it's not in effect.
If legal thinks that we're home without a revisitation or a cutoff date, I'm just going by what they did in other cities. And the other thing I guess that I would embrace is that we're going to take action on this tonight, as some have been proposing. I'm sensitive to the things that Councilmember Jacobus has raised and some of the concerns that I've raised as well. And as a part of any motion to approve, I guess conditions that legal would look into those things and bring those back to the next meeting, since this is of some urgency, that we shouldn't delay on those investigations, and we should bring those up as a part of, these are attached conditions. The lawyer will look into these and we'll discuss them at the next meeting as a part of any motion that comes up tonight. That's my recommendation.
Councilmember McLean.
Sorry, I didn't have my hand up. That must be a mistake. Sorry.
Right, that's fine. Councilmember Legban.
Yes, can we make a motion yet or not?
I have comments from all the councilmen yet. So,
okay.
Councilmember Coons.
Yeah, I was just going to reiterate that I think we need to move forward. This, like I said, being involved in these type of disaster drills, to be standing there with the rule book when things are going down, sometimes you have to look around that and adjust as you go. And I think what Brian said, we're in level 1 and 2. 3 is just around the corner. We need to have something in place tonight to give our employees some assurance that they're going to be taken care of, and we're going to be appreciative of the danger that they're going to be putting themselves in, and not be spending a lot of time going over bureaucratic red tape because the rule book says this. If this goes into full bore, which it has the potential to do, we need to be ready for it and adjust as we go.
Thank you. Councilmember Ellis.
Okay, we've got 2 amendments that am I on?
Yeah.
We got 2 amendments that we were talking about. One being, let's get something in place tonight, but I like the idea that Councilman Yerger said, put some amendments on this that would allow for legal to chime in by next meeting. And also the amendment for the 24 hours after this has been affected to bring it back before an emergency meeting of the city council, just for review. And so, excuse me, I couldn't remember what Councilman Jacobus' amendment was that you were looking for. I'll let you weigh in on that. But I would like to make a motion to amend the 24-hour emergency meeting afterwards. we need to do these separately, or?
There's a motion to, we'll do them separately. Well, there's a motion to amend the operational management guide and plan, payment plan, by Council Member Ellis. Is there a second? Council Member Jacobus.
I'll second it.
Tyler, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead.
Councilmember Legband.
No.
Councilmember Jacobus.
Yes.
Councilmember Jensen.
Yes.
Councilmember Yerger.
Yes.
Councilmember Bechtel. Councilmember Bechtel.
I don't know if he's still on. Can you see him on there, Tyler?
You don't see him on the list right now. I'm looking one moment.
I don't see his number. Oh, stand by, Colin. Sorry, sir.
We may have lost him if he's traveling.
Okay.
Councilmember Coons.
No.
Councilmember Ellis.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes. Councilmember Bechtel. What is your
no.
Councilmember Ellis.
Yes.
Councilmember McLean.
No.
The vote is 4-4. It fails.
Any other comment from council before we take a motion? Councilmember Yerger?
Well, where there was one motion on the floor there to amend the 24-hour review, I would come back with recommendations for conditions to add that people would pursue investigation, bring back at the next meeting recommendations related to treatment of part-time employees and retroactive implementation.
He needs to be unmuted.
You're still muted. Yeah, you're still muted though. There you go.
Okay, so I had made a motion to amend that would include adding conditions to what we're authorizing to include legal to address the inclusion of part-time employees and retroactive implementation, and to bring those recommendations back as a part of discussion at the next meeting if we approve this. That's the amendment. Add those two things for legal to look into.
Is there a second? Councilmember Jacobus?
I'll second it.
Tyler, you ready?
Yes. Councilmember McLean.
Yeah.
Councilmember Ellis.
Yes.
Councilmember Coons.
Yes.
Councilmember Bechtel.
No.
Councilmember Yerger.
Yes.
Councilmember Jensen.
Yes.
Councilmember Jacobus.
Yes.
Councilmember Legband.
No.
Motion carries 6-2, Mayor.
Now we'll consider, take a motion in regards to consider the amended payment plan. Let me get it exactly, for COVID-19 compensation plan for hourly employees. We did. We've been at it. Any other comment? I would take a motion to that effect. Councilmember Legman,
I'll make a motion to approve the amended resolution.
there's second.
Just one moment, Mayor. Might I add that there's not a resolution with this item, so if the motion could be adjusted to just state to approve the COVID-19 compensation plan.
Did you hear that, Councilmember Legman?
Yes, I'll make that motion then to approve it.
Okay. Is there a second? Looking for a hand. Councilmember Jacobus,
I will second that.
cast your votes.
Councilmember Legband,
Yes.
Councilmember Jacobus,
Yes.
Councilmember Jensen,
Yes.
Councilmember Yerger,
Yes.
Councilmember Bechtel,
Yes.
Councilmember Coons,
Yes.
Councilmember Ellis,
Yes.
Councilmember McLean.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Item 7, I would take a motion to adjourn.
I'm out of material.
Tyler? We're up to adjourn. Tyler, can you take a voice count? You're muted.
I just need a motion and a second. I didn't catch that if it's been made.
I would take a motion to adjourn. Councilmember Jacobus.
I make the motion to adjourn.
Councilmember Coons.
I'll second that motion.
Now cast your votes.
Councilmember Legband,
Yes.
Councilmember Jacobus,
Yes.
Councilmember Jensen,
Yes.
Councilmember Yerger,
Yes.
Councilmember Bechtel,
Yes.
Councilmember Coons,
Yes.
Councilmember Ellis,
Yes.
Councilmember McLean.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you all for your patience as we go through this trying process. Thank you. Thank you for the general public for weighing in tonight. It was greatly appreciated as well. Next meeting is the 31st.
Good night, Michael.